Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Anuja Kumar with the Midday News. The headlines. Both houses of Parliament take up discussion on motion of thanks on the President's address. Centre rejects proposals of several state governments to extend the working hours in factories to make up for the production loss due to lockdown. Asia's biggest Aero India show begins in Bengaluru. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh emphasises on India's growing presence in designing and developing indigenous weapon systems. India becomes fastest country in the world to administer 4 million COVID-19 vaccines. And Delhi police announces cash rewards for information about 8 suspects allegedly involved in the violence and vandalism at Red Fort on 26th of January. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. Now the news in detail. The Rajya Sabha has taken up discussion on the motion of thanks on the President's address to the joint sitting of both houses of Parliament, suspending question hour. The House agreed to allocate more time to this discussion in which members from different parties can raise their issues on farmers' protest as well. When the House met this morning, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi said he had spoken to the opposition leaders to suspend today's question hour and tomorrow's question hour and 0 hour to allow for about 15 hours of discussion time on the motion on the President's address. Leader of Opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad also showed agreement, saying the members will get ample time to raise the farmers' issue during the discussion. Later, initiating the discussion, BJP MP Bhubaneswar Kalita highlighted several measures taken up by the central government for the welfare of farmers. He asserted that the centre is ready to discuss every issue of farmers through proper channels. Mr. Kalita underscored several rounds of talks held between the farmers' unions and the Agriculture Minister. Talking about Ayushman Bharat, he said it has provided big relief to lakhs of poor families in the country. He said, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the country has significantly scaled up in the world rankings in terms of ease of doing business. Another BJP member, Vijay Pal Singh, lauded the government's efforts in tackling the COVID-19 pandemic. Participating in the discussion, Leader of Opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad demanded to repeal the 3 farm laws, citing farmers' protest. He said there should not be a fight against the farmers. He said if the farm laws were sent to the Select Committee, then a better resolution could have been met. Mr. Azad unequivocally condemned the violent episode at Red Fort during the farmers' protest on the 26th of January. He said those responsible for it should be punished severely. He said those innocent and media personnel should not be falsely implicated. Mr. Azad attacked the government on implicating Congress MP Shashi Tharoor and some media personnel in cases of sedition. Talking about Kashmir, Mr. Azad demanded statehood of Jammu and Kashmir to be restored soon. Participating in the discussion, A. Navneeta Krishnan of AIADMK said Tamil Nadu government has provided digital infrastructure to students during the COVID pandemic. Terming the violent incidents on Republic Day as most unfortunate, Prasanna Acharya of BJD demanded an impartial inquiry into the same under a sitting Supreme Court judge. Mr. Acharya also asked the government to include assurance on MSP in the farm laws and demanded complete implementation of the suggestions of the Swaminathan Committee. Tiruchi Siva of DMK questioned the manner in which the 3 laws were passed in the Rajya Sabha in the last session. He also demanded to repeal the farm laws in view of continued protests by the farmers. Dr. K. Keshava Rao of TRS said there should be a way devised to bring an end to the impasse over the issue of the farm laws. He suggested a mechanism should be brought to involve lawmakers to address the farmers' issue instead of the Supreme Court deciding the matter. The discussion is underway.
The Lok Sabha will resume discussion on motion of thanks from 4 p.m. Both the Houses of Parliament were adjourned yesterday without transacting substantial business as the opposition members created an uproar demanding discussion on the issue of farmers' protest over the 3 new farm laws. Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar yesterday informed the Lok Sabha that the government is willing to discuss the 3 farm reform laws both inside and outside the Parliament. Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu today urged the members not to record the proceedings of the House by using mobile phones. Referring to the use of mobile phones by some members to record the proceedings of the House while sitting in the chamber, he reminded the members of the ban on the usage of cellular phones within the upper house chamber. The chairman stressed that such recording and its circulation in the social media amounts to breach of privilege and contempt of the House. Mr. Naidu asked the members to desist from such unwarranted activities inside the chamber and to be careful in this regard. The Centre has denied issuing any summons by National Investigation Agency and the Enforcement Directorate to voluntary agencies, groups and individuals providing humanitarian support to farmers' agitation. In a written reply in the Rajya Sabha today, Minister of State for Home G. Kishan Reddy informed that the government has held 11 rounds of meetings with agitating farmers' leaders with a view to address their apprehensions on the farm laws. Replying to another question, the minister said, during the farmers' tractor rally held on 26th of last month, the protesting farmers aggressively resorted to rioting, causing damage to government property, and used criminal force to deter public servants from discharge of their duty, inflicting injuries to the police personnel. He said the farmers' actions left the Delhi police with no option but to use tear gas, water cannons, and mild force to control the crowd. Mr. Reddy said the farmers' agitation has also led to financial losses incurred both by the people and the government.
The Centre has rejected proposals of several state governments to extend the working hours in factories to make up for the production loss due to lockdown. In a written reply in the Rajya Sabha, Labour Minister Santosh Gangwar said his ministry had received draft ordinances and bills from different states regarding amendment in the existing provisions of the Factories Act 1948 to extend the working hours. He said the ministry has not agreed to the proposals. 3 Aam Aadmi Party members have been suspended from the Rajya Sabha for the day for disrupting the proceedings of the House. They are Sanjay Singh, Sushil Gupta and N.D. Gupta. When the upper house was taking up discussion on the motion of thanks of the President's address to the joint sitting of both houses of Parliament, the 3 members trooped into the well, raising slogans against the farm laws. The chairman repeatedly urged them to go back to their seats and allow the discussion, but they continued sloganeering, which led to the naming of the 3 MPs to withdraw from the House. As they were adamant not to leave, the House was adjourned for a brief period. When the House reassembled, the suspended members were still in the House, on which the chair called marshals. India has taken up the matter of killing of over 200 Indian fishermen in the Indian Ocean by the Sri Lankan Navy in the most stringent manner. Responding to the issue during 0 hour in the Rajya Sabha today, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said such incidents are unacceptable. M. Thambidurai of AIADMK had raised the issue, demanding the government's response.
The Ministry of Home Affairs, MHA, has revealed that the annual security-related expenditure for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir was 1,267 crore rupees, the highest ever since the inception of the scheme. Our correspondent reports that the highest ever figure of SRE also coincided with the financial year 2019-20, the year when the centre announced scrapping of Article 370 and bifurcated the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir into 2 union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. The MOS for Home Affairs, G. Kishan Reddy, in a written reply to a query in the Parliament, said during the financial year 2019-2020, the allocated amount was released under SRE Police. The MHA also released 40.20 crore rupees for the modernization of Jammu and Kashmir Police for the same period. External Affairs Ministry today said Parliament passed reformist legislation relating to the agricultural sector after a full debate and discussion. On recent comments by foreign individuals and entities on the farmers' protests, the ministry said in a statement that these reforms give expanded market access and provide greater flexibility to farmers. They also pave the way for economically and ecologically sustainable farming. The ministry emphasized that these protests must be seen in the context of India's democratic ethos and polity and the efforts of the government and the concerned farmers' groups to resolve the impasse. It urged people to ascertain facts and have a proper understanding of the issues at hand before rushing to comment on such matters. External Affairs Ministry said the temptation of sensationalist social media hashtags and comments, especially when resorted to by celebrities and others, is neither accurate nor responsible. The ministry added that a very small section of farmers in parts of India have some reservations about these reforms. Respecting the sentiments of the protesters, the government has initiated a series of talks with their representatives. Union ministers have been a part of negotiations and 11 rounds of talks have already been held. The government has even offered to keep implementation of the laws on hold, an offer iterated by no less than Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The ministry termed it unfortunate that vested interest groups are trying to enforce their agenda on these protests and derail them as witnessed on 26th of January. It said some of these vested interest groups have also tried to mobilize international support against India. Instigated by such fringe elements, Mahatma Gandhi statues have been desecrated in parts of the world. The ministry called it extremely disturbing for India and for civilized society everywhere. You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Both the Houses of Parliament take up discussion on motion of thanks on the President's address. Centre rejects proposals of several state governments to extend the working hours in factories to make up for the production loss due to lockdown. Asia's biggest Aero India show begins in Bengaluru. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh emphasizes on India's growing presence in designing and developing indigenous weapon systems. India becomes fastest country in the world to administer 4 million COVID-19 vaccines. And Delhi Police announces cash rewards for information about 8 suspects allegedly involved in the violence and vandalism at Red Fort on 26th of January. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts. चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the Midday News. Aero India, Asia's biggest show, was inaugurated by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh in Bengaluru today. Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa, Union Minister D.V. Sadananda Gowda, chiefs of 3 defence services and senior officials from the Department of Defence Production graced the occasion. Speaking during the inaugural function, the Defence Minister pointed at India's growing presence in the area of designing and developing indigenous weapon systems and platforms for our defence forces. He said India offers a unique opportunity in defence and aerospace manufacturing.
India today offers a unique opportunity in defence and aerospace manufacturing. This opportunity comes as a sangam of rising demand, greater innovation, conducive policy and maturing ecosystem in defence and aerospace manufacturing sector.
The Defence Minister invited original equipment manufacturers and agencies engaged in maintenance, repair and overhaul to meet the growing civil aviation sector in the country. He added that India has jumped 14 positions to occupy the 63rd position in the rank of ease of doing business. The minister called upon investors to tie up with Indian firms to launch a manufacturing facility in India, saying that the goal is to achieve a turnover of 1,75,000 crore rupees in aerospace and defence production by 2024. The minister said that India today has the potential to export indigenous platforms. It is a journey, he stressed, from Make in India to Make for the World. Mr. Singh said India is strong enough to protect its territorial integrity and no attempts to change the status quo at the borders will be tolerated. He also said a befitting reply will be given to those involved in state-sponsored terrorism. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said in a tweet that India offers unlimited potential in defence and aerospace. He said Aero India is a wonderful platform for collaborations in these areas. He said the Government of India has brought futuristic reforms in these sectors which will add impetus to our quest to become Atmanirbhar. Our Bengaluru correspondent reports that the three-day event showcases India's prowess in defence production and indigenization of defence equipment.
The 3 days event showcased India's prowess in defense production, indigenization of defense equipment and platform, has provided an opportunity for partnership between countries and vendors in the area of defense. The exhibition that is part of the event has showcased Indian ventures in the defense sector. The spectacular flypast by Indian-born light combat aircraft Tejas, advanced light helicopter Dhruv, light combat helicopter and utility helicopters left the audience spellbound. The foreign-made Rafale and BIB long-range bomber of US took part in the flypast. Jaguars, Hawk and HTT-40 trainer aircrafts too were part of the flypast. AWACS Netra, the eye in the sky, too captivated the audience. After the inaugural, the Raksha Mantri inaugurated Indian Pavilion in the show. The Chief of Air Staff Conclave will be held in the afternoon today that will discuss the futuristic technologies in air warfare and sharing of ideas on mutual cooperation. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
India's trajectory of leaping across landmarks in its fight against the global pandemic continues. In a significant achievement, India has become the fastest country in the world to reach the 4 million COVID-19 vaccination mark. A total of over 41,38,000 people have been administered COVID-19 vaccines in the country so far. The country has achieved this feat in 18 days. As on 1st of February, India was among the top 5 countries in terms of the number of COVID-19 vaccine doses administered to the people. India continues to undertake its vaccination drive at a fast pace. In the last 24 hours, more than 1,88,000 people were inoculated with COVID-19 vaccine doses. India's fight against COVID is bringing daily success on other fronts as well. 14 states and UTs have not reported any death in the last 24 hours. The Health Ministry said that more than 1 crore 4 lakh patients have already recovered from this disease. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country stands at 1,60,057, which comprises only 1.49% of the total positive cases. A total number of 11,039 new cases were reported in the country in the past 24 hours. The recovery rate in the country has reached 97.08%, with a total recovery of more than 14,000 patients in the last 24 hours. With a high number of COVID patients recovering every day and the sustained fall in the mortality rate, India's steady trend of registering dipping active cases continues. 110 deaths were reported during the last 24 hours, taking the toll to over 1,54,000 across the country. 31 states and UTs have less than 5,000 active cases. 8 states and UTs have weekly positivity rate higher than the national average. Kerala has the highest weekly positivity rate of 12%, followed by Chhattisgarh with 7%. As regards the newly recovered cases, 85.62% cases are recorded in the 8 states and UTs. Kerala has contributed the highest number to the newly recovered cases, followed by Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. The 3 states have also reported highest daily new cases.
In Tamil Nadu, district administration officials were vaccinated in the second phase today. The number of daily infections has gone further down to less than 500. More from our Chennai correspondent.
The first phase vaccination began on 16th January. The vaccination camps are held for 4 days a week. Though the number of registered vaccinated seem to differ, more and more doctors have assured that the vaccine was safe. The second phase of vaccination has begun for the district administration officials today. District collectors of Nilgiris, Tiruvannamalai, Salem, Dindigul, Tiruvallur, Dharmapuri and other district administration officials got vaccinated today. Joy, AIR News, Chennai.
In Bihar, 2,21,523 people have been vaccinated in the state so far. In all, 37,139 health workers were vaccinated for COVID-19 during the past 24 hours. No side effect has been reported from any part of the state. Health Minister Mangal Pandey said the target date for completion of the first phase of vaccination drive is the 10th of February. Meanwhile, COVID-19 recovery rate has improved to 99% in Bihar. 2,58,309 patients have so far recovered from the infection in the state. The number of active cases of COVID-19 is continuously declining. Currently, 1,095 patients are receiving treatment at various hospitals. In all, 173 patients recovered in the last 24 hours, while 118 new COVID-19 cases were reported. No positive case was reported from 11 districts of the state. Over 2 crore 11 lakh corona tests have been conducted in the state so far.
In Jharkhand, the second phase of inoculation of 1.5 lakh frontline workers, including policemen, paramilitary personnel and cleaning staff of municipal corporations registered via Co-Win app under the COVID vaccination drive, begins from today. Presently, 55,446 people have been administered with the Covishield vaccine in the state. More in this report.
Registering a sharp decline in the number of active COVID cases in the state and budgeting a high recovery rate of 98.68%, the growth rate of COVID-19 has reduced to 0.04% in Jharkhand. Meanwhile, to assess the herd immunity, a team from ICMR Bhubaneswar will reconduct sero survey from February 4th to 13th in 10 districts of the state. The second phase of the sero survey was earlier conducted in the month of September 2020. The survey will focus areas of Ranchi, East Singhbhum, Bokaro, Dhanbad and Palamu districts. Shilpi, AIR News, Ranchi.
More than 2,49,000 patients have recovered from COVID infection so far in Madhya Pradesh, with 296 patients recovering yesterday. More from our correspondent.
In Madhya Pradesh, 168 new positive cases were reported yesterday. COVID positivity rate stands at 1.1%. 16 districts recorded no positive cases yesterday, with 3 patients succumbing to the infection. The death toll rose to 3,815. Meanwhile, Dr. Santosh Shukla, State Immunization Officer, informed that mop-up session is being conducted today and tomorrow for healthcare workers who missed the vaccination in the first round. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
Gujarat recorded 285 new COVID-19 cases during the last 24 hours. Our correspondent reports that this is the second consecutive day for the state to record below 300 cases. More from our correspondent.
New COVID-19 cases in Gujarat are constantly decreasing. State has recorded below 300 new cases since last 2 days. Number of active cases in the state have also decreased significantly. At present, total active cases in the state are 3,203. More than 90% COVID-19 beds are now vacant in the state. Meanwhile, vaccination drive against COVID-19 is continuing in the state. Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation is vaccinating frontline corona warriors for the last 3 days. It has also launched walk-in vaccination facility for the remaining healthcare workers who missed their scheduled date or failed to register themselves. At the other end, Surat Municipal Corporation has started vaccination of frontline corona warriors from today. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
The Delhi police has announced cash rewards for information leading to the arrest of 8 suspects allegedly involved in the violence and vandalism at Red Fort during the tractor rally on the 26th of January. 1 lakh rupees each will be given for information leading to the arrest of Deep Sidhu, Jugraj Singh, Gurjot Singh and Gurjant Singh. 50,000 rupees each reward will be given for information leading to the arrest of other suspects, Rajbir Singh, Bhuta Singh, Sukhdev Singh and Iqbal Singh. A total of 44 cases have been registered in connection with the violence at Red Fort and other places in Delhi during the rally. Police said they have arrested 123 people in connection with the violent incidents that left over 500 security personnel injured. Delhi police has set up a special investigation team to investigate the violence. No person is currently under house arrest in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. In a written reply in the Upper House, Minister of State for Home Affairs G. Kishan Reddy said that since August 2019, 613 persons, including separatists, overground workers, stone pelters, among others, were detained at various points in time. He added, out of them, 430 persons have been released till date based on regular review and ground situation. The minister asserted that various measures were taken in the interest of security and public order, which included such preventive detentions. Bharatiya Janata Party President JP Nadda begins his two-day visit to Kerala today to review the party's preparedness for the forthcoming state assembly elections, which are expected to be held in April-May this year. The BJP chief reached Thiruvananthapuram today. He is scheduled to attend a number of programs, hold meetings with alliance partners and visit local temples.
In West Bengal, the Forest Department has conducted water bird census for the first time. The study was conducted from 12th of January to the 2nd of February in 54 different locations across the state. More than 800 persons, including forest staff, NGOs and bird lovers, were involved in this exercise. More from our correspondent.
The rich biodiversity of the Sundarbans attracts lots of migratory birds every year. For the first time, an initiative was taken by the State Forest Department to conduct the census of water birds of the wetlands, including the Sundarbans. The Principal Chief Conservator of Forest Wildlife, Vinay Kumar Yadav, said that 65 species have been found so far.
In Bengal, we have two major Ramsar sites, is Sundarbans and East Calcutta wetland. And I am very happy that we got a kind of an assessment where more than 135,000 birds have been recorded in 54 wetlands. And there are more than 65 migratory species, including some endangered species.
For the first time, a black-necked grebe has been traced in the Sundarbans. Madhuparna Chaudhary, AIR News, Kolkata.
The regime in Myanmar, headed by the army, has announced a new state administrative council. The council, headed by the Army Chief General Min Aung Hlaing, has 11 members, out of which 8 are from the military. Earlier, addressing the meeting of the union government yesterday, General Min Aung Hlaing said that election matters and COVID-19 prevention and containment will be prioritized. In a statement released on the official channel, the military government announced that the Union Election Commission will be reconstituted for implementing the duties and functions.
Indian bourses are continuing the post-budget rally on the third consecutive day. Sensex, Nifty and other major indices today registered new all-time highs. More from our correspondent.
Bombay Stock Exchange Sensex first time opened above the 50,000 mark and registered new all-time high in opening trade today. This is third time in the history that Sensex crossed the important psychological level of 50,000. Today, market is trading higher and registering new all-time high during trading. National Stock Exchange Nifty also first time opened above the level of 14,750 and registered new all-time high. Nifty Bank also following the same path. Post-budget, Sensex rallied for more than 4,000 points and Nifty rallied for more than 1,100 points. This post-budget rally is said to be the highest in the history of Indian stock markets. Jeevan Bhavsar, AIR News, Mumbai.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for the day. National capital Delhi will experience partly cloudy sky towards afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature was 10 degrees Celsius and maximum will be around 27 degrees. Mumbai is witnessing mainly clear sky. Chennai will be witnessing partly cloudy sky. Kolkata is experiencing mainly clear sky. City observed minimum temperature of 10 degrees Celsius and maximum will be around 24 degrees. In Jammu and Kashmir, Srinagar will be likely experiencing light snow. The temperature will hover between 0 and 3 degrees Celsius. In Jammu, the minimum temperature was around 13 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 16 degrees with thunderstorm and rain. Leh is witnessing generally cloudy sky. The minimum temperature was minus 11 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be around 2 degrees. Gilgit will have generally cloudy sky. In Muzaffarabad, the temperature will hover between 6 and 14 degrees Celsius. Dehradun is experiencing partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Both houses of Parliament take up discussion on motion of thanks on the President's address. Centre rejects proposals of several state governments to extend the working hours in factories to make up for the production loss due to lockdown. Asia's biggest Aero India show begins in Bengaluru. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh emphasises on India's growing presence in designing and developing indigenous weapon systems. India becomes the fastest country in the world to administer 4 million COVID-19 vaccines. And Delhi police announces cash rewards for information about 8 suspects allegedly involved in the violence and vandalism at Red Fort on the 26th of January. And with that, we end the midday news.